Good morning. Shabbat Shalom. Glory and honor to the Father Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is. The God and Father and creator of the Messiah. No, sorry, not the Messiah. The God and Father and creator of the nation of Israel. Excuse me. The nation of Israel, his chosen people. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their descendants, who we are. Also, the God and Father of the Messiah, Yahweh Shah, who sent to the earth and was born in the womb of a woman of Israel for the redemption of Israel, and through Israel, the redemption of the earth. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh. Glory and honor to Messiah Yahweh Shah. Greetings to the 12 tribes scattered through the four corners of the earth through slavery because of disobedience to the commands of Yah and the worshiping of false gods, who are now awakening to who they are, to who their God is, and returning to him. Greetings to you. Greetings to the 144,000 who are, as it were, the forerunners of the return of Messiah and the soon establishment we expect within the next 8 years, the establishment of the Messianic kingdom. Greetings. Greetings to the precious ones among the children of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, who have received the perfect righteousness of the Father through the Hebrew Israelite Messiah. Greetings. Greetings to the chat. Only one way, Brother Yacoba Ban Israel, Brother Keith Watkins, Isha Shaman, Brother Frankie, Brother Mark, Psalm 119, Superstar, Gary Joseph, Stephen Kelly, Brother Manny, Sister Wade. Praise the Most High for all of you. You know, I feel like most of you, like everyone I just named for sure, and others, are more like family than like, people that come to a Bible study I'm conducting. I feel like most of y'all are like family. Many of you I've known now for several years. Some of you I've actually met. Some of you I've actually baptized. So I feel like I know y'all. I feel like y'all are family more than strangers, right? And so I just want to go quickly before we Shalom, Brother Castle King, speaking of family, and Brother Diamond Holdings, speaking of family. So I feel like, when I say family, it's not cliche. It's really like real because, we really feel like, and this is again, the power of the Father's spirit of righteousness is in us seeking to glorify the Father is what makes us family. Okay, aside from the bloodline, many of us of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, many of us of the bloodline. But aside from that, is more deeper of the spirit. So we have family, right, that are of bloodline, but some of us are closer to each other even than we're closer to family of bloodline, So praise the Most High. But since 2014, is that right, sister? Okay. Praise the Most High. So I want to just I want to use myself as an example in this, what happened last night while we did not have Bible study. First, let's go to Leviticus, and I'm going to, and again, we must be partakers. Those of us that teach the word must be partakers of the bread that we're disseminating. We must be also followers of the same Most High we're teaching the people to follow, right? So I instruct you to read your Bible. I instruct you to seek the Father. I instruct you to confess your sins and to come to him for his righteousness, in place of your own, right? We do that. And so here in Leviticus, let's see. I'm going to go to Leviticus chapter 16. Going to go to Leviticus chapter 16. Leviticus chapter 16. I'm going to be just read. This is the chapter in Leviticus that goes into the Day of Atonement, but we're not focusing on the Day of Atonement here. There's another lesson in here aside from the Day of Atonement. There's another lesson in here for us, and so I want to show us that. And this is the thing that I repented of my sin to the Father this morning and last night, but I want to go into Leviticus chapter 16, and then we'll go back to Leviticus chapter 10. So let's start at Leviticus chapter 16. And Yahweh spake unto, beginning at verse 1, sorry, Leviticus 16, beginning at verse 1, and go down from verse 1 down to verse 2. And Yahweh spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they offered before Yahweh and died. And Yahweh said unto Moses, speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy, within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he die not, for I will appear upon the cloud of the mercy seat. So the Bible said that he was talking about Aaron's two sons that died when they came and offered strange fire before the Most High. So let's look at that in Leviticus chapter 10. Leviticus chapter 10. Leviticus chapter 10, and I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 9. Leviticus chapter 10, from verse 1 to 9. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from Yahweh, and devoured them, and they died before Yahweh. And Moses said unto Aaron, this is it that Yahweh spake, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me, and before all the people I will be glorified. And Aaron held his peace. And Moses called Mishael and Alzaphan, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said unto them, come near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. And they went near and carried their coats out of the camp, carried them in their coats out of the camp, as Moses said. And Moses said unto Aaron, and to Eleazar, and unto Ithamar his sons, uncover not your heads, neither rend your clothes, lest ye die, lest ye wrath come upon all the people. But let your brethren and the whole house of Israel bewail the burning which Yahweh hath kindled. And ye shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die, for the anointing oil of Yahweh is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses. And Yahweh spake unto Aaron, saying, do not drink wine, nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It is a statute forever throughout your generations. So apparently the two sons of Moses drank wine, then went into the holy place without their time authorization, and offered fire on the altar when it wasn't supposed to be done at that time. And they died immediately for their sin. And so two things we got from this. First, when they were going to approach the Most High in the sanctuary, they were not supposed to drink wine or strong drink, number one. Number two, they don't just come in there anytime they want. There were specified times to come in there. Okay, what does that have to do with me? Well, with any teacher of the Most High, it is my conviction that before you come before the people, you don't drink any wine or strong drink. You must be sober. You must have your mind clear when you go to teach the people, because the Spirit of the Most High is the one that's going to teach the people. And you must be available and ready for the Spirit of the Most High. And I'm giving you me as an example so y'all can learn this. You must be available and ready for the Spirit of the Most High to speak through you. Okay? Very important. So what happened to me? So I had already knew this coming into Friday, yesterday. And my son is not a believer, and his sons are not believers. They're asking me questions, and they're learning, but they're not really followers of the Most High at all. Okay, my son, his wife, and his two sons. So, but they know we keep Shabbat. They know that. So we were coming there Friday, and we had let it be known that I was going to do a Bible study, and that I said, I'm not going to have any wine when I go there. It was new moon yesterday. Also, for those that know, it was new moon yesterday, the beginning of the 4th month of the Hebrew year. So I had been drinking wine from when I got here Wednesday and Thursday, but not Friday, because even though it was new moon, we were going to be doing a Bible study. So I got around my family and my wife, and everyone was like, just have a little wine. You know, by the time it was like 3 o'clock, by the time you get ready to do the Bible study, it'll wear off. And now the spirit had told me, don't do that. Not at all today. But I did. And so I had 3 glasses of wine. 3 glasses of wine yesterday. And then I did feel a little, like that, like you're supposed to feel when you have 3 glasses of wine. And then my wife drove back home and she said, it'll wear off by the time 9 o'clock comes. It'll wear off. I knew different. And then 2 things happened. That was number 1. And then number 2, because I had drank the wine, I forgot that I was in Minnesota and that usually I do the Bible studies on Eastern Standard Time. And in Minnesota, it's an hour behind. So when I was thinking it was 8:30, it was really 9:30. When I thought it was 8 o'clock, it was really 9 o'clock. And so I thought it's 8 o'clock, I'll sleep and I'll relax a little bit. Then I'll get up around, I'll get up around 9, maybe do the Bible study at 9:30. I woke up, brethren, it said, the thing said, my clock said 10. And then I realized, wait a minute, it's really 11. So it was blown last night. It was blown. It was blown. So I got up this morning. I repented of my sin and asked the Most High to forgive me of that, knowing better than that by his grace, that won't happen again by his grace. So that's why we did not have Bible study last night. I just wanted to let you all know that's why we didn't have Bible study last night. It was because of my folly, put it that way. My own folly caused us to miss Bible study. So I apologize to you all as I apologize to our Heavenly Father. And I ask the Heavenly Father for forgiveness and ask y'all for your forgiveness that we can move forward in the grace and righteousness of the Messiah, Father and Father Yah. Praise the Most High. Yeah, I did. I totally forgot the time zone. I was like, oh, shoot. And you know when it hit me? I had fallen out to go to sleep. The wine knocked me out and I had fallen out to go to sleep. And it was in my sleep. I said, wait a minute, you're an hour behind. I said, oh, shoot. So when I was thinking, like I told my son, we would be leaving his house at 7:30. We were really leaving, at 8:30. And really, we didn't leave there till when it's 8 o'clock here. So it was really 9 o'clock already when we were leaving. And I was still woozy from the wine. So it was out, it was all out, man. So that's why I learned, hopefully, like I said, by the grace of the Most High, I learned from my mistake. And y'all, and this is, you with family, right? I'm not making excuses, but I'm just saying you relax when you with family. So I was with my grandsons and we was all chilling, we was laughing, and it was family, right? But there you go. There you go. So here we are this morning. Well, here it's 9:28 where I am. So it's 10:28 Eastern time, as you all know. And so we're going to be continuing our study in Matthew. We're going to be continuing our study in Matthew, Matthew chapter 14. Of course, as always, as we understand, and that's it. Brother J House said, "Nobody's perfect. Give yourself some grace." I'm only repeating this for your sake as well as mine, right? I'm trying to be open and honest with y'all as much as I can, as I always am. Sometimes to my detriment, but I do it, right? And so I'm not condemning myself, except I know I made a mistake and I came to the Most High and I know it's over, right? But we did miss a Bible study last night. And so I don't like doing that. And so, yeah, and this is what Jay House is important that he say, look, none of us are perfect, but we receive from the Father perfection. Is that y'all understand that? That's a perfect example where Jay House said nobody's perfect. That's absolutely right. None of us are perfect, but we receive from the Father perfection. All right, Danny, how you doing? But that's it. And in fact, let me give you one more scripture with that regard. That's in Philippians chapter 3. Philippians chapter 3. Again, let's start at verse 9, and let's go from verse 9 down to verse 13, actually 14. This is powerful with respect to what we're talking about, us not being perfect, but we receiving in Father's gift of righteousness, we're receiving perfection through the Messiah, right? So here in Philippians chapter 3, and by the way, I also forgot my glasses in Florida, but I did bring contact lenses, so I got them on. But I left my glasses right there on the counter in Florida, which is why I don't have my glasses on today. Okay, praise the Most High. So here in Philippians chapter 3, beginning at verse 9, and be found in him, that is in Messiah, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Messiah, the righteousness which is of Yahweh by faith, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death, if by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead, not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which also I am apprehended of Messiah Yahushua. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of Yahweh in Messiah Yahushua. You see, when he talks about being apprehended, that means the righteousness has been given to him. We have been apprehended by the Father's righteousness in Messiah, right? But he said, I press so that I can be really righteousness, right? So he said, I press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling of the Father. The calling of the Father is perfect righteousness. So he sets us up to receive and then to become perfect righteousness. And again, 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20 says that we might be, that Messiah, the Father had made Messiah to be sin for us who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of the Father in Messiah. See, so that is perfect what Jay House alluded to. No, we're not perfect, but we receive perfection. And that's an example of it, right? So we're not perfect, but we receive perfection from the Father, and we're continually being cleansed through the atoning blood of the Messiah to receive more of the spirit and perfection of our Heavenly Father. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High for that. So we're looking today at Matthew chapter 14. And again, I want to start off because in the beginning of Matthew 14 is Herod. They're dealing with Herod in the beginning of Matthew 14. Now, for that, let's first go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel 36. And we're going to begin in Ezekiel chapter 36, talking about Edom. Okay, talking about Edom in Ezekiel chapter 36. Let's see. I'm going to begin in chapter 36. Okay, I'm going to begin at verse 1, just for context. We're really looking at verse down to verse 5. But I'm going to begin at verse 1, Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 1. And I'm going to go down to verse 7. So this is a prophecy, obviously, of a Hebrew Israelite, Ezekiel, as every last prophet of the Bible, Old Testament as well as New Testament, are Hebrew Israelite by blood. Let me say that again. Every last prophet of the Bible, both Old Testament and New Testament, are Hebrew Israelite by blood. This is a requirement. Because he has not shown himself to any, that is the Father Yah, has not revealed himself to any other people. Very important that we remember that as we're studying these things, because obviously Christianity does not believe that. And yet we can look at the Bible and see that it's true. There is no prophet in the Bible. From Moses to Zechariah and all in between, from Paul and all the apostles, there's no prophet in the Bible. And they're all prophets. What I just told you is all prophets. That is not Hebrew Israelite by blood. All of them are. And all the Gentiles that received the truth received it through the Hebrew Israelite. First Paul with Barnabas, and then Paul introduces them to the Hebrew Israelite Messiah, who introduces them to the God of the Hebrew Israelite. He is not the God of everybody. And in fact, the Bible tells us the heathen that learned this didn't even have a God, a real God, before they met the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And before they met him, they met the Hebrew Messiah of the tribe of Judah. And they met that man through Paul of the tribe of Benjamin. Okay? So let us never forget that, because Christianity never understands that. There is no prophets that originate as Arabs or children of Yafet or children of Ham. They all received from the Hebrew Israelites as ordained by the Bible. So here's Ezekiel, not only a Hebrew Israelite prophet, but Ezekiel is of the tribe of Levi. He's a priest of the Hebrew Israelites. And he was given these prophecies that we're reading right now in Ezekiel. So Ezekiel chapter 36, beginning at verse 1 and going from verse 1 down to verse 7. Ezekiel chapter 36, beginning at verse 1, from verse 1 down to verse 7. Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith the Most High, Yahweh, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even ancient high places are ours in possession. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen. And ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. They say the Hebrew Israelites are taken up and are infamous among the people. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Most High Yahweh. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and a derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. So surrounding Israel are heathen. Y'all got that part so far? Surrounding Israel are heathen. Okay? Therefore, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Edomia, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. So he says all the heathen that are about Israel, all the nations are heathen, and particularly the Edomites have taken his land for a prey. Okay? So all of the heathen around about Israel, and the Edomites have taken his land. In other words, they control Israel. Okay? The Edomites. Prophecy, therefore, concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. So there's going to come a day when they're going to bear their shame. And of course, we know there are prophetic utterances that say all over the Bible that we'll be brought, we being the bloodline, will be brought back from all the nations of the heathen and brought back to our own land. And so we have a situation now where the heathen have taken over the land of Israel. We have a situation where the Edomites are actually running things in Israel. Is that correct? Do y'all see that now? I mean, right now, we can see it right now where we're standing right now, but it didn't start now. It was happening from back then. And we see it in Matthew chapter 14. So let's go to Matthew chapter 14. So we have seen many prophecies. In fact, all the prophets, Moses, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Daniel, Zechariah, Jeremiah, they all prophesy of the Israelites being scattered and then being brought back to their own land from their scattered state. They're being scattered because we have been disobedient. You know, I was just looking at, my wife and I we've been looking at videos of Ecuador recently, and we were just looking at some of their customs of the Incas, ancient Inca, these people that are of Ecuador, of Inca Indians, and there's another Indian, there's Inca and Aztec Indians, right? And so they have really hundreds of different tribes, but they all originate from Inca and Aztec. And then they got taken over by the Spaniards, right? And they were showing how they do these spiritual things as part of their tradition that's not from the Most High. And I always remind people that are looking, like a lot of people are looking for our, in terms of the so-called Black people, they're looking for our origins. Where do we come from? And they're looking in Haiti, and they're looking in Puerto Rico, and they're looking at these places, and they're adopting some of the customs. Like in Haiti, there's a lot of voodoo and witchcraft. But what we need to remember, brethren, why were we taken from our original land? That's what we need to remember. So that when you find Israel and other nations, understand why they're there. And when they're going through their customs, remember, why did we get taken off the land? So when you go to Mexico and you see these giant pyramids where they worship the sun, people look at that and say, well, Black people was there. Well, yeah, Black people was there. But why were they worshiping the sun? How did they get there? We got kicked out the land for those types of worship. Okay. So don't be surprised. You go to Haiti and they got their own thing. You go to Ecuador, you go to Mexico, and everybody's got their thing. And they're very similar, by the way, very similar, because we got kicked out the land because of those things. And we're trying to return to Father Yah, who is none of those things. And a lot of people, when they see these various things, we were watching a video where a young Hebrew couple went over there and they were getting into all that stuff. And what's going on? It's like with Malcolm X and people like him, they're running from Christianity. So everybody knows everybody that can't say everybody, but everybody that's awakening understands white Jesus ain't it for us. Wait, let me say it again. Everybody that's awakening, am I lying? Understands that white Jesus ain't it for us. When you're awakening, you are, one of the things you understand is, listen, man, we can't be worshiping the God of our slave masters. We can't worship the God of our slave masters. That doesn't even make sense. The God of the people that made us chattel slaves, not just slaves now, chattel slaves. So people are running from Christianity. So in doing that, you might have a Malcolm X that runs to Elijah Muhammad because he's running anything but white Jesus. Not really understand he's going from the frying pan to the fire, but they're getting away from white Jesus, right? And people going into voodoo, anything but white Jesus. You understand? So that's what's going on. A lot of us are trying to find our way, getting away from white Jesus. But as we awaken to who we really are, we understand we don't want white Jesus. We want the Black Messiah. We want the Hebrew Messiah, right? We want the Hebrew Messiah. And my grandsons were asking me yesterday. We were in the gym and they just pulled out and asked me this. We were in the gym, not yesterday, Thursday. My grandsons, one's going to be 20 in a few weeks, one is 16. They're 19 and 16 right now. And they said, Abuela, what's the difference between Islam and Christianity? And I said, they're more similar than different. He said, are they the same? I said, well, they're both man-made religions. And they were both shocked because they thought they always, through my son, who still lives 20 years in the past with us, he still thinks we're Christians. And we keep telling him we're not Christians. But they can't think any other way. You could tell a person they're blue in the face, but if you're just, your mind set in a certain way, they can't hear you, right? They can't hear you. So when I said that, I said both Christianity and Islam are man-made religions. And I said, you know how I found that out? And they, what, how? I said, I read the Bible for myself. Then I explained to them what reading the Bible means. And they were both, and I said, so most of the people teaching Bible have never read it. In Christianity, you'll never find a religion called Christianity in the Bible. They use the Bible to justify their religion, but their religion is not a part of the Bible. They were both shocked. And I said, what you need to do, young men, is read the Bible for yourself. Go to your creator and let him guide you. It blew them away. That just those words, it blew them away. Okay? It blew them away. And so instead of trying to make them conform to my belief, I'm telling them, go to the same place I went to. And you, by the Spirit, can determine what you see. What do you see? Okay? You understand? So, yeah. And so what happened now, though, is we've been so brainwashed that even though somebody could be telling you, I'm not a Christian. Even on this channel, people come to my Nick's channel and I give blessings. As y'all know, I give blessings before every video on the Nick's channel. And people come in and they'll say, oh, I'm a believer too. And they think I'm a Christian. And then I'll say, I'm not a Christian. And it still doesn't register. It doesn't register to them. Because we've been so brainwashed that your mind, it cannot perceive that this, and you know, it took me many years of praying so that when I closed my eyes and thought of Messiah, I didn't see a white man in my mind. Y'all know what I'm saying? It took me many years of praying so that when I closed my eyes and thought of the Messiah, I didn't see a white man. That's powerful, man. That when you close your eyes and pray, the image when you're praying to the Messiah, you're thinking it's a white man. See, now I'm blessed. I don't think like that anymore. When I pray to the Father, I think of the firmament. My wife will tell you, I like going out and looking at the motions of the stars and the moon and the sun. And I know that the Creator is bigger than all of that. And so I'm praying to the man, the one that's bigger than all of that. And I can't even imagine his color except brightness. Yep. Praise the Most High. That's right. So at different stages, all of us, that's right. Good point, Manny. All of us are coming out of different stages of darkness and deception. You cannot be awakened unless you were first asleep, right? A person that's already awakened can't be awakened. You got to be awakened from sleep. So all of us were in different stages of sleep and deception. And we're being awakened from our deception and sleep. And we're all, praise the Most High, learning. As we say, as the word says, the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. And that's all of our paths. That's the path of us. It says the path of the just. Who is just? Those that have been justified, declared innocent through the righteousness of the Father in Messiah. So the path of the just are as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. All of us are growing unto the perfection that the Father has ordained for us to become. Praise the Most High. So here in Matthew chapter 14, we see Herod, and we saw just now the prophecy of Ezekiel, where the Edomites would take possession of Yah's land. Here, let's take a look in Matthew chapter 14, and let's start at verse 1. Matthew chapter 14, beginning at verse 1. This is at that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Yahushua. Now that we got to stop there. Herod the Tetrarch. I looked up the word Tetrarch, and before I tell you what it is, has anybody else looked it up? I just want to ask y'all, before I tell you what it is, has anybody else looked up the word Tetrarch? Y'all, if you haven't, it's cool. We're all learning, right? So what is a Tetrarch? Tetrarch means a person that is a ruler over the fourth part of a country. All right, let me say it again. So a Tetrarch is a person that is a ruler over the fourth part of a country. So in other words, a country is divided into 4 divisions and 4 persons. It's like only one way said. That's right. It's like a governor of the fourth part of a country. That's a Tetrarch. Okay, so a Tetrarch is the ruler over. So in other words, if Herod was a Tetrarch in Israel, that means Israel was ruled by 4 entities. Y'all got me? So he was just one of 4. And let's take a look in Luke real quick. And Luke is going to show us the 4 divisions. This is Luke. Let's see. Chapter 3. Luke chapter 3. Luke chapter 3 verses 1 and 2 explains multiple things about the time of the Messiah, which is also helping us understand our time. Okay? It helps us understand our time when you understand what Messiah was, where he came, where he was born into. Okay? So, and of course, he was born into that by the will of the Father. This is Luke chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. Now, the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar. So you're in Caesar time. So now we know the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius means that the Roman Empire is in effect. Okay, we understand that by the first sentence. So the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar tells us that at that time, the then known earth was under the rule of Rome. Okay? Pontius Pilate being governor of Judea. So the Judea area, the southern kingdom of Judah, centered in Jerusalem, was being ruled by Pontius Pilate, a Roman. Testing, y'all got me so far? Roman, okay? Secondly, Herod being Tetrarch of Galilee. So Galilee was the northern part of Israel, where Dan was. Galilee was ruled by Herod. And then it said his brother, Herod's brother, Philip, Tetrarch of Iturea. So they divided another section, called it Iturea, and Herod's brother ruled that part. Then you had, and he also ruled the region of Trachonitis, which is probably another Israelite place that they renamed after the Romans and Greeks. Then Licinius, the Tetrarch of Abilene. So they divided Israel into Pilate, Herod, Philip, and Licinius. So these 4 people ruled Israel. They ruled Israel. And none of them were Israelites by blood. In fact, we know that at least Herod and Philip were what? Edomites, as the Bible showed us. Edom would rule in Israel. Testing 1, 2, 3. We got that? So Israel was divided into 4, and the Edomites, at least 2 Edomites and 1 Roman ruled. No Israelite ruled. They were under the control of heathen. Okay. Verse 2. Annas and Caiaphas being high priests. Now, we already know there's a problem. We already know there's a problem. Before you even know who Annas and Caiaphas is, you know there's a problem. Why? Because they just listed 2 high priests. according to Moses, how many high priests were there supposed to be? One. So they got two. You already got corruption. You don't even have to know who the rest of these brothers are. You got corruption right here. You got two high priests. There's a problem. So you got non-Israelites ruling the land, and then the religious leaders are two high priests sharing power. We already got a problem. Okay. Thank you, Stephen Kelly. So here, Annas and Caiaphas being high priests, the word of Yahweh came unto John, the son of Zacharias, in the wilderness. So now, this is the situation. Corrupt religion, heathen ruling led by Rome. Listen, heathen ruling led by Rome and Edom. Corrupt religion among the Israelites. Let me ask you, we're just a few years from the return of Messiah. Do you think we have similarities in the atmosphere right now? Is the environment very similar? Are we being ruled by heathens? Is there corruption in the religion of the Israelites? There you got it. Okay. And in the midst of that, John the Baptist came forth. In the midst of that, John the Baptist was brought forth. The difference is, in the midst of us, who's coming forth? In the midst of us, who's coming forth now? In the return of Messiah. In the midst of us, got heathen led by Rome, and you got heathen leading us, and corrupt, right? The 144,000 are now coming forth in the midst of all of this. And again, what does the Bible say about the 144,000? It says they were redeemed from among men. They were redeemed from among men. There you go. As John the Baptist came from among men. Here we go. So now you got an Edomite, and I don't have to explain to y'all. I'm not going to put it this way. I'm not going to go into it, but if you know who the Edomites are right now. If you know, you know. Okay? All you got to do is decide to look at who is actually running Israel right now. The nation, the state, the land. Who runs that? And you know who your Edomites are. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go back to Matthew chapter 14. Matthew chapter 14. And let's start again at verse 1. And let's go from verse 1 down to verse 12. This is Matthew chapter 14 from verse 1 to verse 12. And I want you to note how the Edomite dealt with the Hebrew. Please note how the Edomite dealt with the Hebrew. Okay? At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Yahushua and said unto his servants, this is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead. Therefore, mighty works do show forth themselves in him. For Herod had laid hold on John and bound him and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. For John said unto him, it is not lawful for thee to have her. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, give me here John Baptist's head in a charger. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in prison. And his head was brought in a charger and brought to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried it and went and told Yahushua. So an Edomite put a Hebrew to death. An Edomite that had power with the Romans. Testing 1, 2, 3. An Edomite that was royalty and had power with the Romans had the Hebrew Israelites' head cut off. Now, we know that the Messiah has already stated that there has not risen a greater than John the Baptist, that John the Baptist was the greatest of all prophets. And that would make sense because Messiah is the greatest of all given from the Father. And he had a forerunner or someone introducing him, as John the Baptist said, he is like the best man. Messiah is the bridegroom. And he introduced Messiah. Father had the best to introduce his son. Even so, we know he's not leave John the Baptist in that grave, right? We know as he took Messiah out the grave, he's going to take John the Baptist, or in my view, he's already taken John the Baptist out the grave, which is why you see 24 elders around the throne of the Father that were redeemed from among men. Okay, so he took up Messiah and he's taken up John the Baptist. Praise the Most High, in my view. In my view. Because there are 24 elders around the Father's throne, clothed in white with crowns on their heads. And the Bible does say that saints arose out of the tombs at the Messiah's resurrection. Didn't say who they was now, but it does say saints rose out the tomb at the Messiah's resurrection. Those saints are the first fruits of Messiah's victory over sin. First fruits. This is why you have the Feast of the First Fruits, which is Pentecost. Praise the Most High. And so I believe John the Baptist is in that number. Praise the Most High. So we must understand now, why would Edomites hate biblical Hebrew Israelites? What happened there? The Edomite was rebuked by the Hebrew. He was rebuked because Herod was a follower of Judaism. Herod was a follower of Judaism. Judaism is not biblical. Again, like Christianity, they use the Bible to justify the existence of their man-made religion, but it's not biblical. We've been brainwashed to think that the books of Moses are Judaism. Isn't that correct? We've been brainwashed to believe that the books of Moses are Judaism, but they're not. Judaism uses the books of Moses with another book called Talmud. Talmudian teachings are part of Judaism. Talmudian teachings are not Bible. Okay? It's not Bible. So they use that to justify the religion, the existence of the religion of Judaism. Right. So Herod was a follower of Judaism. He was not a follower of the Father Yah, or of course Messiah Yahushua, or of course their Hebrew Israelite prophets like John the Baptist. Okay. So now John the Baptist rebukes the Edomite. The Edomite retaliates by putting him to death. So what do we have today? We have Edomites trying to pose as us, followers of Judaism. We are not followers of Judaism. We are followers of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not a man-made religion, but a true nation of the Father, chosen before the foundation of the earth. But we are not recognized by the powers that be as his people. So we can now know what to expect from people. And it's very easy, brethren. Like not all people that are born, people can't determine where they're going to be born or what family we're going to be born into or what bloodline we're going to be born from. We cannot predetermine that. You cannot choose that. You're born into it, right? But and so the Bible does tell us, of course, in the book of Amos, again, let's just look at it for Amos chapter 9. I want to say Amos chapter 9. Yep. Amos chapter 9, and we'll just look at the two verses here just for the sake of time. Amos chapter 9, verses 11 and 12. Amos chapter 9, verses 11 and 12. Amos 9, 11 and 12. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith Yahweh that doeth this. So there'll be Edomites as well as all heathen that'll come to the truth. So we can't just judge every Edomite as lost. All heathen are lost without the Father. So there's going to be some of them that come to the truth. But you can tell the ones that won't. You know, there's a term for the Edomites that do not come to the truth, that they use themselves. I'm not giving nothing that they don't use themselves. What is the term of the Edomites that believe they are bloodline and that they should take the land and that it's theirs because their God gave it to them? Testing 1, 2, 3. What is the name of those people that believe they should take the land? They have a right to take the land. That's right. Thank you, Manny. They give themselves away. Even the prime minister of that nation is a Zionist. Zionist. Another man-made definition from a man-made religion, from people posing as us. So, brethren, you can expect to get opposition once the spirit of the Father, and this is the thing, the spirit was heavy on John the Baptist, was it not? The spirit of the Father was heavy on John the Baptist. He got it from the womb. So now John the Baptist is an agent of the Father's spirit. Therefore, he brings conviction. Therefore, that conviction in the terms of the heathen that are not repentant becomes hatred. It becomes hatred, brethren. It becomes hatred. Praise the Most High. Okay? So we can see where opposition is coming from. You know, we know it's going to come from our own bloodline, like Judas, and it's going to come from Zionists. You know it's going to come. You know where it's coming from. Okay? You know where it's coming from. Okay? It's coming from Zionists, from our own bloodline. Okay? It's coming from everybody that is believing in the three religious lies of so-called Abrahamic religions. It's coming from there. Our biggest, but also people that will be converted to this truth are also going to come from those three, which is why we're still doing what we do, which is why we're still going to receive the Spirit of the Father, which is why we're still going to propagate the message the Father puts on our tongue, because even from those three, people will come forth. That's right. They dwell in the tents of Shem. But there's going to be coming forth people that's going to repent of their sin. Praise the Most High. Okay. So that was John the Baptist and Herod the Tetrarch. Now we're going to go to the feeding of the 5,000. Very important. Feeding of the 5,000. You know, brethren, I've been involved with many diets. My wife can tell you over my lifetime, the first time I started a diet consciously, I was about 17. I decided to become a vegetarian. Well, I was a vegetarian by force. My grandmother, my Aunt Vin from Jamaica, being Seventh-day Adventist, forced me into vegetarianism when I lived in their house for 2 years. But as soon as I left, I went right back to eating meat, though I never trusted pork. But I still went back to eating meat and doing what I wanted to do when I left their house when I was 13. So, but later on, at 17, I decided again to try vegetarianism my own way, my own method, right? I did it for about a year, then gave that up. Then at some points later, went into different, especially after age 40, fruitarianism, vegan fruit, then raw vegan, fruitarian, then keto and carnivore and OMAD, 1 meal a day. And then I even did Elijah Muhammad's one meal every other day for a little bit. I've done all I've done a lot. I can't say all because there's probably many out there I haven't tried, but I've done a lot of different dietary regimens. Over the time, one thing I have found, what I've learned from all of them, is what I need in my body, what I require is nutrition. I need adequate nutrition. I need nutritionally dense foods, because what I've realized is that whatever I'm eating, if my body is missing certain nutrition, that's where I'm speaking for myself. I'm not a doctor. I want to make sure I say that for YouTube and anybody else listening. I'm not a doctor. I'm telling you my experience. So from my experience, if my body is missing nutrients, it's going to have cravings. I have found I have cravings when my body is missing nutrients. Okay. So over time, I might be getting a lot of protein, but I'm not getting a lot of carbohydrates. And eventually my body will crave carbohydrates. Or if I'm eating all carbs, like I was when I was a raw vegan or fruitarian, my body was craving salt and fat. And I didn't know probably protein as well. Okay. At first, in all of the diets I did, the fruitarian diet, the first year, I was on another level of health and energy. Really. I really was. And I thought that was the answer to whole life right there. And what I learned is over time, your body reacts and changes. And so the shortcomings in terms of protein, proper fat content, it was really catching up to me, right? Same thing when I did carnivore. At first, it was so simple. What I liked about carnivore and I liked about keto is that I was satiated. The fat and the protein that I was eating was satiating me. It was making me feel satisfied. But again, it started 2 years ago, and then it started again this year. My body was craving fruit. And I realized you got to try to have a balance. You got to have a balance of food that's covering all areas as much as possible. Nutrition density, but don't eat bad food that don't have much to give you. Like I was talking to somebody the other day, says if you ate 1,000 calories of donuts and 1,000 calories of a ribeye steak, both of them are going to give you 1,000 calories. But the ribeye steak is going to give you much more nutrition than the donuts. The donuts is going to give you too much sugar, and your body's going to react to that. And you're going to be hungry again later, thinking you're hungry, right? Because you didn't get enough nutrition density. Your body didn't get what it needs. Well, brethren, spiritually speaking, it's the same principle. Spiritually speaking, we are being fed when we're listening to anyone or reading the word or whatever we're doing. You're being fed. You're drinking wine. You're eating food. Messiah said he is the bread of life. He said one of the I am statements is, I am that bread. So spiritually speaking, if you don't get the proper nutrition, you'll still be craving stuff. You'll still be looking because you're not completely satisfied. Your spiritual body is not completely satisfied. Like people were asking me, somebody was asking me the other day, why don't I read the Quran? I said, I don't need to read the Quran. I have found the pearl of great price. I am spiritually satisfied. Nutrition in my spirit is satisfied. I am not hungry. I'm not seeking anymore because I have found what satisfies my soul. Okay. And that's any person. And I'm speaking on persons that are interested in glorifying the Creator. If you're interested in glorifying yourself, you will never be satisfied because now you're getting a spiritual food that's never going to give you the complete nutritional density that you need. It's never going to give it to you because you cannot be focused on yourself and be spiritually fed. You cannot be focused on you being the top, you being the center, and be spiritually fed. The way the Father has created us, we live as glorification of him. And when we glorify the Heavenly Father, the Creator, we have a natural bent towards spiritual nutrition that satisfies us. When we're focused on ourselves, you're always going to be short and you'll never be satisfied. You understand? Praise the Most High. So that is the example here. Matter of fact, everything again that the Messiah did were done also by the prophets. And here in Matthew chapter 14, first let's look at the prophet that actually did before Messiah did what Messiah did to show that he was indeed Messiah. This is, I want to go to, let me see. Yes, 2 Kings chapter 4. This is Allah Shai, or Elisha. Allah Shai is the second prophet after Elijah, who was taken up, right? So here in 2 Kings chapter 4, I'm going to begin at verse 38 in 2 Kings chapter 4 and go down to verse 44. Again, just illustrating two things. Number one, the Messiah came to Israel to confirm the covenant. Number two, everything Messiah did was done by Hebrew Israelite prophets before he came, just to show that Messiah is all of those prophets wrapped into one, representing the Father's express image and word, right? So here in 2 Kings chapter 4, beginning at verse 38 and going down to verse 44. And Elisha, or Elisha, came again to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land, and the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, set on the great pot and seethe pottage for the sons of the prophets. And one went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, and gathered thereof wild gourds, his lap full, and came and shred them into the pot of pottage, and for they knew them not. So they poured out for the men to eat. And it came to pass, as they were eating the pottage, that they cried out and said, O thou man of Yahweh, there is death in the pot. And they could not eat thereof. So I guess it didn't taste too good. They put a big pot on, got all kind of herbs and stuff. There was dearth in the land, didn't have no meat, but they put it in there. And he said, man, there's death in the pot. Even hungry people couldn't eat. Some people cook like that. He said, there's death in the pot. Okay, so how are they going to fix it? All right, verse 41. And he said, bring the meal. And they cast it into the pot. And he said, pour out for the people that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot. And there came a man from Baal Shalisha, and brought the man of Yahweh bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley, and full ears of corn in the husk thereof. And he said, give unto the people that they may eat. And his servitor said, what should I set before this 100 men? And he said, give the people that they may eat. For thus saith Yahweh, they shall eat and leave thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat and left thereof according to the word of Yahweh. So the 20 loaves fed 100 men, and they had leftovers, right? So the 20 loaves of barley with the pot fed 100 men, and they had leftovers. Can you imagine? So now Elijah, performed by the grace of the Father, performed a miracle, stretching the 20 loaves over 100 men. Well, now Messiah is going to show us even more, right? So here in Matthew chapter 14, so Messiah hears that they arrested John the Baptist and then beheaded him, and he gets out of Dodge, right? Because there's problems. So he gets out of Dodge. So let's see here in Matthew chapter 14, verse 13, beginning at verse 13 and going from verse 13 down to verse 15. Matthew 14 from verse 13 down to verse 15. And when Yahushua heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart, And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And Yahushua went forth and saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion toward them. And he healed their sick. And when it was evening, the disciples came to him, saying, this is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals. So he was still performing the works of Messiah. He left the area where Herod had arrested John the Baptist. He went, and then he went somewhere else, and he was performing miracles, healing sick people. And now it was getting late. People were listening to his words, and now it's getting late. And the disciples said, look, it's getting late. Let them go get some food. Go buy food in the villages nearby, so they won't, they won't faint. Okay, what does he say? Verse 16. But Yahushua said unto them, they need not depart. Give ye them to eat. Now, he's instructing his disciples, who he has been training, to feed the people. Y'all catch the spiritual significance of that? The Messiah trained his disciples. Messiah is on the earth representing our Heavenly Father. He's not the Father, but he's here on behalf of the Heavenly Father in human flesh. He's here on behalf of the Heavenly Father, and he's here to take on sin of Israel and confirm the Father's covenant with Israel. He is the seal of the Father's covenant. So here he is. And so he has his disciples, the ones following him, who's following the Father. And he says, feed the people. Feed the people. See, you could feed the people are doing that right now. People are feeding, religiously feeding people, but they're giving them bad nutrition. Isn't that correct? See, you cannot give what you don't have. Nobody can. You cannot give what you don't have. You can't expect a man to give somebody the truth if he doesn't have the truth. You can't expect a man to give somebody the Spirit if he doesn't have the Spirit. You can't expect a man to show a person the way to the Father if he himself hasn't been there. You understand? So people are eating Christianity, yep. They're eating Islam, yep. Judaism, yep, but they're eating bad food. They're not getting spiritually nutritious food. They're not getting food to completely satisfy their soul hunger. They're getting man-made, nutritionally processed food. And you and I have enough knowledge to understand that if you eat a lot of processed food in real, like you eat processed pasta, bread, you eat processed food, what kind of health are you going to get? Are you going to get the fullness of nutritional density that you need if you're eating processed food, stuff and wrappings and packages and little Debbie's and things that you cook quick? No, they're making money on it. That's right. But you're not getting nutrition. And sometimes they were saying certain restaurants that serve chicken, that it's not even real chicken they serve. Like, it's not even chicken. They have it in little balls, and it may taste like chicken, but it's not even chicken. Like last night, my son and I were talking yesterday about what we were going to eat, what we were going to get. And we were trying to decide. And I said, well, we can go to the supermarket and get this, or we can go to a restaurant. And then he mentioned, well, we can go to Chinese. I said, yeah, if we go to Chinese, we got a choice. You could eat beef, chicken, or cat. I said, if you went to Chinese food, you can get beef or chicken, or you can get cat. Because you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're getting. So brethren, a rat, right? You might get rat or mice or snake, If you live near the water, you might get octopus or dolphin or something, but you never know what you get. Okay. But the Most High is teaching us how to get nutritionally good food. Dog, right? So you try to get nutritionally good food, and the Most High has taught us what is clean food, right? He's taught us that was clean. So here, Messiah is telling his disciples, you give them food. Okay, let's take a look. This is Matthew chapter 14 from verse 16. From verse 16 down to verse 21. But Yahushua said unto them, they need not depart. Give ye them to eat. For they say unto him, we have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And he said, bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, looking up to heaven. He blessed and brake and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did eat and were filled. And they took up the fragments that remained, 12 baskets full. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. Again, 2 principles. The number 12, brethren, represents what in the Bible? The number 12, really, this is the easy one. The number 12 represents what in the Bible? Number 12, they took up 12 baskets. It represents what? The number 12. Bible is a book of numbers, among other things. That's right. The 12 tribes of Israel. 12. I don't want to hear that there are 12 tribes of Ishmael. That's not what it represents. The Bible talks about the chosen people being the 12 tribes of Israel. We say, well, there were 12 disciples. That's right. And they represented what? The 12 tribes of Israel. Right? 12 disciples, 12 tribes, 12 apostles, 12 tribes, 12 gates, 12 tribes of Israel. All of Jacob's sons. That's correct, Brother Stephen Kelly. All of Jacob's sons. 12 stars, 12 tribes of Israel. All of Jacob's sons. Out of the 12 stars, out of the 12 tribes, come forth Messiah. Huh? Praise the Most High. There you go. So he had took up 12 fragments of food representing the 12 tribes. So the Messiah blessed the food, gave it to his disciples, and his disciples disseminated that food to the Israelites, to the 12 tribes. Y'all catch that? So the Messiah blessed the food. It was blessed by Messiah. Why? Because the Father caused Messiah to be the one in whom we get blessings. So now Messiah blesses the food in the name of his Father, and then he gives that to the disciples, who gives that to his people. 12 baskets full. Now, they counted 5,000. Let me ask you another question. Were there only 5,000 human beings out there that partook of this bread and fish? Or were there more than 5,000? Am I contradicting the Bible if I said there were only 5,000 people out there? Or were there more than 5,000 people out there? So it said there were 5,000 men. That's right. Besides women and children, there were 5,000 men. Besides women and children. Why do I bring that up? Because the Bible does not count but the men. It doesn't count the women and children. It doesn't count children, even males under 20 years old. And it only counts the men, 5,000 men, plus women and children. Why do I bring that up? Because he said, hurt not the earth nor the trees until we have sealed the servants of our God in their forehead. And I saw the number of them that were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So you're talking about the word children in that context means men, of all the men of the children of Israel. The word children, actually, you can look it up for yourself, is translated men. So of all the men of the children of Israel, he sealed 144,000. That does not count what? Women and children. Y'all catching me? So they're going to be more than 144,000 because you have 144,000 men, not including women and children. Because they don't count women and children. See? So out here, we're not contradicting the Bible, nor are we lying if we say there was more than 5,000 people out there. Because it said 5,000 men, beside women and children. There could have been another 5,000 women and children out there. You understand? There could have been more. But the Bible only counts men. In the book of Numbers, when you look at it, in Numbers, they're counting men all the time. They're counting men prepared for war. Men prepared for war. Praise the Most High. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Never know how many there are of the Israelites. That's why I said there was a group of people that could. What did it say? How does it say it? Wait. Let me not paraphrase. This is Revelation chapter 7, and I believe it's verse 9. Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. Notice what it said. Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. And it says here, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes with palms in their hands. So now we know the 144,000 are numbered. The rest of Israel cannot be numbered. You're not allowed to number the children of Israel. So there's 144,000 men chosen by the Father, not counting women and children. And then, of course, you have the multitude which no man could number. Not just only does it mean there's a lot of people, right? But it also means you can't number them. Y'all catching that? In the SDA church, they were teaching that this numberless multitude is the 144,000. That's what they came up with. And you know why? Because they're Christians. They're followers of white Jesus. They're never going to get it. Praise the Most High. That's why. But he says, I beheld a multitude which no man can number. You're not allowed to number them. The 144,000 harpers are the ones they reference later in chapter 7, which says, who are these that are arrayed in white robes? Whence came they? They are they that came out of great tribulation and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. That's the 144,000. Praise the Most High. Yep. Praise the Most High. So he fed more than 5,000, but he fed 5,000 men, not women and children, not including women and children. And he fed them the bread of life that he blessed himself. Praise the Most High. And us also receiving of the bread to bless the people. Praise the Most High. Okay. So now it's 10:32 in Minnesota. But it's 11:32 on the East Coast. So we're going to continue this. We're going to take a break as we normally do. And it's 11:32 in the East Coast, where many of you are. Not all, but many of you are. And here I am in Central Time in Minnesota, and it's 10:32. So we're going to come back, take a break about an hour and come back and continue in Matthew chapter 14. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.